Testing, testing. Testing 1, 2. Testing. Testing 1, 2. One, two. 1, 2, 3.
Again, would like to say good evening to everybody for this Monday, December 9th, 2024 Greensville County School Board meeting. Clerk, can you certify?
Board Chair Ruffin St.
Yes?
Madam Vice Chair Janet Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Ronnie Pearson.
Yes.
Ms. Bessie Reed Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, can we bow our head and pray? Dear Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to come together this evening. We come to you with joy and full stomachs from a great Thanksgiving holiday. And we wish all of our students much success in the upcoming SOL testing that are going on this week and in future weeks. And we hope everyone has a safe and prosperous holiday. In your name we pray. Amen. Next up is the reading of our GCPS mission and vision. Our mission is together with families in the community. GCPS is committed to providing a safe, rigorous, student-centered environment that empowers learners. Our vision, cultivating excellence, transforming lives, and impacting futures. Next, we are looking for, seeking a motion of the approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item B is the approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none again. All those in favor, make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item C is our approval of the warrants.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we approve these warrants pending an investigation.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up is item 5, our superintendent's report and information items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to report our December corrective action plan, as we are under a memorandum of understanding after the local review in 2016 in Greensville County Public Schools, and each month we're required to do a corrective action plan update, and I would like to share with the board and the community that update. Our first update is under the heading of academic and student success. When you look at the Greensville County Public School Board, who's actively and constantly being professionally developed through VSBA, the Greensville County School Board, and as well as myself, attended the Virginia School Board Association Conference, which was held in Williamsburg on November the 19th through the 21st. Facilitated an instructional summit with instructional coaches, met with superintendents nationally on final site, as we've all are finished with our ESSER spending. ESSER spending was due to be completed by September the 30th, and I'd like to thank Dr. Robinson, who has done a job of handling our federal spending as well, and working in conjunction with the Virginia Department of Education as we finalize those funds. Also attended Soup Scoop at Greensville Elementary School on the 14th of November. Along with the instruction team, testing the human resource, met with the Office of School Quality on November the 11th as we looked at our next step moving forward. And just recently, Mr. Jesse, the board chair, this afternoon at 4 p.m., we had our biannual meeting update with State Superintendent Coons, Deputy Superintendent M. Cooper, and Dr. Ballard and Dr. Brendan, who work with the Office of School Quality, where we report out twice a year the progress that Greensville County Public Schools is making toward our progress in the corrective action plan under this memorandum of understanding. I'd like to also state that myself, along with Dr. Robinson, have been participating in Edunomics, which is finance training, and we are finished our last training on December the 5th. And we will be recognized for the completion of that training once the certificates arrive, and that they stated would be mailed out this week. And I'd like to thank you, Dr. Roberts, for participating in that training along with myself. Here at Greensville County High School, under the leadership of Dr. Posey James, and members of the cohort are participating in Unity Justice Training, which takes place every Tuesday in the month of November. It was on the 5th, the 12th, the 19th, and the 26th. We've held our senior executive leadership team meetings. Directors and coordinators participated in the working on the work sessions, which are held on the second and fourth Tuesday. Under leadership and governance, priority 2, the Chief Human Resource Officer is working on policies, and we'll be looking at policies again tonight as we go through our cell phone policy. My executive coach, Dr. John Gordon, the superintendent of Suffolk City Public Schools, working with him in conjunction as a mentor and participating constantly in VBOS training. And as we move forward to student growth in the Commonwealth. Under operation and support services, we met with technology and maintenance at the new site. With the construction of the new walkway is continuously being done at Greensville Elementary School. Under human resource leadership, frontline training in absence management and professional growth continues. We're also training at all schools administration at this point, and we're continuing to update our policies as well as the project team is working with frontline for implementation. Under community relations and community priority, develop and implement practice to effectively communicate with stakeholders. We are producing GCPS now through the communications department. Mr. Devin German is spearheading that component, continuously updating our website and social media platforms, and working on school events posting on social media. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my December corrective action plan update.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right, next up is item B, special recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call on Mrs. Riddick to give us our special recognitions for the month of December.
Chairman Jesse, Madam Vice Chair Roberts, board members, Dr. Edwards, colleagues, and guests, good evening. Tonight, we're going to get started first with our division competition awards. So first, we have the Cleanest School Award, and that goes to Greensville County High School.
Greensville County High School.
Best staff attendance goes to Wyatt Middle School. Woo-hoo. She means she's gonna get them back. Dr. Chapman, you can stay. Best student attendance also goes to Wyatt Middle School.
Dr. Chapman, that says 94.6 attendance rate.
Yes.
And so tell the team at Wyatt, working along with Coach Atkins, we certainly appreciate that attendance rate being in the 90s. That's awesome.
Each year, VSBA has a board member delegate assembly that consists of a board member from each of the local divisions. This year, Rustin Jesse, our board chair, participated in the VSBA 2024 delegate assembly. For your participation, Mr. Jesse, we have a certificate of recognition presented by the Virginia School Boards Association to Rustin Jesse for serving as a delegate in the 2024 VSBA Delegate Assembly. And For our final presentation, we're going to bring some holiday spirit. I'm going to ask Mr. Victor Fenner and Mr. Ford to come forth, and Dr. Chapman for the next presentation.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, members of the Board of Education, and our superintendent, we are elated to be here this evening on behalf of our executive principal, Ms. Mary Person, who was unable to be with us on this evening as she is away engaging in professional development. So we wanted to come this evening and to present to each board member and the wife of our superintendent a poinsettia that was grown in the E.W. Wyatt Middle School greenhouse. Just a little bit of information about the poinsettia. So the poinsettia is native to Central America and Mexico. They were first grown by the Aztecs, and they were used for medicinal purposes and to make dyes. And so they come in more than 100 varieties and colors. And so the colorations are done by way of acidity and alkalinity in the soil. And so we do anticipate next year that we're going to have a variety of colors, but certainly red is the color of Christmas, and it is the color that's most grown. And so I know that you see them in Walmart and in different places, but I guess that you can agree you will not see any prettier than these grown right here. And so you will see these in Walmart and Sam's for about $17 to $18 each. And so we were feeling soft-hearted this year, and so we were selling them for $13, which of course is way below the market, but lesson learned. And so we certainly anticipate next year that they will be a bit more expensive. And so Mr. Ford was able to grow 85 poinsettias in our greenhouse this year. And so next year, we anticipate having more than 125. Yes, sir,
So to give
Dr.
the
Evans.
context of the greenhouse, how it was out of production, which
Yes.
makes this more special. And Mr. Ford, a special thank you to you and your students and our maintenance department and anyone that had a hand in it, and the administration and staff and students at Wyatt for making this greenhouse operable.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Anything, Mr. Ford, you'd like to say? Dr. Chapman?
You're the grower, Mr. Ford.
Well, I was glad to have the opportunity to show the students that how poinsettias are grown, and they also gain some hands-on experience at the same time. So, like today, they told me, say, hey, they enjoy doing the hands-on. So it gives them opportunity to see something different instead of the classroom.
Yes.
And so, kids will grow, and their memories was always, they will always remember this, And the poinsettias for Christmas, when they walk in the store, they will recognize them and know what they are.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes, definitely.
I would like to tell you, on Sunday morning, I walked into the sanctuary at my church, and I felt like I was in Christmas. It was so beautiful. And I said, where did all of these beautiful poinsettias come from? And they said, Wyatt Middle School students. And my chest got real big. I said, I'm on the school board. We're doing some good stuff. And I want you to know they were gorgeous. And you all are doing a great job. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we can put them on the floor in front of you, or we can take them and wrap them for you for you to know. They have bags. So we'll get them for you.
Thank you.
You can put it.
We're gonna take them and put them in the bag. Okay. They're gonna carry them.
I'll bring them up.
We're gonna put them back in the bag.
Okay.
Fall over in the car.
Thank you all.
Yes.
Wow. To the Wyatt team, Dr. Chapman, Mr. Fenner, under the leadership of Ms. Mary Person and also Mr. Anderson, the students and staff at Wyatt Middle School. Mr. Ford, thank you for sharing the testimonial of how students enjoy hands-on projects. And The greenhouse has been, I'm going to expound a little bit further on that. The greenhouse has been trying to be in production for 3 years. And Mr. Ford has come on board, and what he has done was resurrected the greenhouse. And when I say resurrected, if you had saw pictures before and pictures today, you would say, how is this greenhouse operable today? And so we truly thank you, Mr. Ford, staff, students at Wyatt Middle School for making that greenhouse operable and under the auspices of FFA of how we can make students learn to do to learn to live, and live to serve. Thank you all so much. Yes.
All right, next up is item C, our instructional update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to call Dr. Stiff, and she's going to give us an instructional update as our SPED department is working tirelessly, along with Dr. Scott and Ms. Williams, our staff, as we look to improve SPED in Greensville County Public Schools. Dr. Stiff, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening,
Good evening.
Chair, Mr. Jesse, school board members, Dr. Edwards, and to everyone. Today I will be presenting the special education updates. And I would first like to start off by saying that the updates that I'm about to talk about tonight, it started last school year at the leadership retreat that we had. And during the retreat, we talked about 4 strategies in the classroom instruction that works manual that we needed to actually do in the classroom. And those four strategies was strategy number 9, the retrieval practice, strategy number 11, targeted support, strategy 5, visualization and concrete examples, and strategy 7, guided initial application with formative feedback. From the tier 1 strategies out of this book, we complemented it with the high leverage practices. And the high leverage practices, those are 22 practices that are fundamental to improve academic success and increase the behaviors of students with disabilities. Okay. So, okay. Thank you. This school year, our work is aligned with the comprehensive strategic plan goal, student learning and academic success, 1.3. It is also aligned with the corrective action plan, 1.12, as well as our BTSS, MTSS district capacity, which is to plan to continuously strengthen staff skills. From those 3, we have monthly assistive technology meetings for all special education teachers. Once a month, the elementary meet at 3 o'clock, from 3 o'clock to 3:45, and the secondary teachers, they meet at 4 o'clock and end at 4:45 to talk about assistive technology. We had 2 teachers, one from the elementary school and one from the middle school, to participate in the technology conference in November. And then we also have weekly collaboration with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade English co-teachers. With the weekly collaboration, it includes the general education teacher, the special education teacher, because those are the co-teachers, the English instructional coach, Miss Francis, the gifted and talented teacher, and the administrators as well as myself. And then we have our collaboration with secondary math and instructional coaches, with TTAC program specialists, and myself. Next is the help students analyze visual and models while prior opening thinking with the to prior strategy. We attended that conference on November 5th, and we had 9 attendees from the division. And with the 9 attendees, each school was represented. Next slide, please. With assistive technology, here are 4 pictures of our students using assistive technology in the classroom. For the students with disabilities, it helps improve, maintain, and increase their functional capabilities. In the first picture, there was one of our early childhood special education classes, and the student was actually giving the teacher a picture of a juice because she wanted some juice. It was during their snack time. The second picture is I was in a classroom observing, and I saw the communication board on the student desk, and I was like, "How you feeling today? How you doing?" And she actually pointed at the sad face. I was like, "You're sad." And I went ahead to talk to her, but she was using her communication of telling me that she was sad at the time. I wasn't expecting a sad face, but she used it. She was communicating. The third picture is the teacher was working with a student, going over the alphabets and learning how to match up alphabets. And the teacher was actually using Velcro for the child to pick up the alphabet and stick it to the actual correct letter. And lastly was a picture of a student who was on the Chromebook. While she was paddling on the bike, she was actually engaged in completing her assignment. That was actually doing virtual speech at the time, and she was really engaged. I thought that was really, really good. And all of those are coupled with our high leverage practices, number 8, 13, and number 19. Next, we have our high leverage practices that we're doing at the middle school with our monthly meetings. Here we have the students who are annotating in their HMH work booklet. And with the annotation, they are actually taught how to look at the text, circle the words that they know, question mark if there's something that they have a question about. They put a exclamation mark if they read something and it surprises them. And then they kind of use an arrow for, oh, I can make a connection with this. This is relevant. And with the annotation, it helps them to understand the material. That is HLP 14 and 15. Next slide, please. Also, with the accountable talk, that is another strategy that we use in the classroom. That first picture is the collaboration with Dr. Crosdale, the program specialist from TTAC, special education teacher, general education teacher, and the gifted teacher. We are planning how to do a Socratic seminar with the students in the classroom. Collaborate with professionals to increase student success. That is what it's all about. We have to collaborate together in order to build the capacity and sustain our academics in the classroom. And with the Socratic seminar, our first period and second period, their spider web is posted for you to look at. Each student was given a text to read. And with the text, after they read it, they annotated their notes. And then they developed questions that they wanted to ask their peers. From the questions that they developed, when we sat in the circle, the teacher chose one student to go first. And from that student, it was basically anybody respond to the question. That opened up a discussion among the entire class. And with the spider web, and I'm a teacher, y'all gotta walk up to the board. I can't stand it any longer. But with the spider web, we started in the middle. And each point is where the students are sitting. So every time a student responded, the teacher drew a line to that student. And when that student responded and asked another question, then whoever answered, that's where the next line went to. So at the end of the discussion, you have a spider web. And when you look at the lines, when you see back and forth, that means the student that was at these two corners did a lot of discussion. The student over here, they only participated about 2 times. This is a type of strategy that you can use in the classroom for student engagement. And when you actually sit down with the students to provide feedback, you can ask them questions. Okay, how did you feel about the exercise that we did? How did you, what is something most interesting that you learned? What is one point someone else said that you agreed with? Which is our reflection sheet. So when the teacher and the student sat down one-on-one and went through the reflection sheet, the teacher was able to give feedback, okay? And that immediate feedback will help the student the next time it's time for that strategy. And the goal is to get everybody open into the discussion. Next slide, please. And I know I'm past my time, but I'm ready to wrap up.
Take your time, Dr. Seth.
But the next thing we have for the middle school is we have upcoming co-teaching and high leverage practices. That professional development is coming up on January 3rd, 2025, in collaboration again with the instructional coaches, Ms. Francis, Ms. Kenzie, and Ms. Smith, as well as Dr. Jones with Catapult Learning. All of us will be collaborating together to conduct this professional development, because high leverage practice number 1 is to collaborate with professionals to increase student success. You have to have that communication open around the table so everybody can be on the same page, have the same shared vision, and move the students forward. And those pictures that I have, those are more ankle charts that we have up in the classroom. And I'm gonna point out this one right here. This one where it has, instead of I don't know, when you ask the student a question, instead of the student saying I don't know, teach them to say, can you repeat the question? May I have some time to think? May I have some more information? May I ask a friend? Teach them to ask questions, teach them to know how and where to go and find their information instead of saying, I don't know. Next slide, please. I'm trying to hurry up now. Okay. And now at the high school, we are still on the track of high leverage practices, okay? We participated in the November 5th workshop that talked about prior open thinking with the surprise strategy. From this workshop, we actually started today here at the high school. From this workshop, we are starting the biology master learning boot camp that actually teaches the students to use the surprise strategy to annotate number 1 again. They have to annotate the text when they look at it. When they annotate the text, they're pulling from their toolkit that they learned in English class, whether they use steal, thieves, whatever strategy that they use for the fiction and the nonfiction, they pour from that toolkit. And then they use the surprise strategy to analyze the charts, tables, graphs, and the pictures. That started here at the high school. And all of that is based around your claim, evidence, reasoning that equals explanation. Is geared towards getting the students to know, what do you know? How do you know that? Why does your evidence support your claim? It's teaching them to think critically. And next slide, which is the last slide. This slide is using the high leverage practices to build discourse-rich classrooms. This is a presentation that was presented at the middle school for the English and math co-teachers. It was presented at the high school by Miss Erica Smith, Miss Rebecca Moore, and Mr. Philip Dean. They presented it to the entire faculty about high leverage practices and discourse-rich thinking classrooms. And lastly, Ms. Smith and we presented the same presentation at the Council of Exceptional Children Conference.
Yes.
Because high leverage practices is a big deal. The big picture of special education is when you take your tier 1 instruction, you take your high leverage practices, you take your explicit instruction, you take your scaffolding instruction. When you take all of those pieces and you put it into one big pot, you have specially designed instruction, and you're able to work with the students according to their needs and the IEP goals that's in their IEP. And that is special education. And I'm sorry, I have to apologize, y'all. I know Dr. Scott is going to get me because Dr. Scott told me I had 3 to 5 minutes. And I even told I asked Miss Riddick to tug me on the side because I get long-winded. But this is, the work is passionate to me.
Yes.
And this is what we're doing. Oh, this is what we're doing. Last thing, I forgot. I put this on my neck. This is a low-tech technology, okay? All of these special education teachers in the division will be receiving a lanyard. I got to work, y'all. They will be receiving a lanyard. The lanyard has visual cues on it for when you are working and talking with students with disabilities.
Yes.
Some students may be nonverbal. Some students may be limited in their words. But then again, some students may have behavior challenges. And with those students who may have a behavior challenge, instead of you verbally saying, okay, Miss Phelps, I want you to have a seat now. It's time for story time. Have a seat now. Instead of saying that, hold up your visual cue. Because you're going to taught your students that this visual cue means story time. So hold up your visual cue. And when the students see that, they're going to start getting ready for story time. And the child that is having some behavior challenges, sometimes when they see their peers getting ready and the voices don't escalate it, the visual cues de-escalate and they start doing what their peers are doing. And that is getting ready for story time. Okay. All right, now I'm done. But this is the world of special education. And this is actually what we are doing in the classroom. And the last thing that I'm going to say is that I really appreciate Ms. Francis, Ms. Kenzie, and Ms. Smith, because I have been working closely with them, because that's tier 1 instruction.
That's right.
Especially when we're looking at the middle school, we're trying to get the school from being federally targeted and identified as special education. The way we're going to move them is through looking at our tier 1 instruction. And after we look at our tier 1 instruction, that's when we need to look at the specially designed instruction to see what our students actually need in order to master tier 1.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm done.
You can't be done just yet. Hold on. So I'll
Any
speak for the
questions?
board. Yes, ma'am. Two things. Okay, one is a question. One is please don't ever feel like you need to apologize for speaking the truth and speaking passionately about it. So you said sorry 4 times in that presentation. You needed to say it 0. Okay?
Absolutely.
And my second one is a question, and I think I'm speaking for the whole board and everybody at this table in this room. Just let us know when you're teaching again, and we'll be in that class.
Will do.
Thank you.
Dr. Sith,
Yes.
thank you so much for the presentation. I just want you to elaborate on the presentation that you and Ms. Smith did. When you're talking about taking best practices not only locally, but you all took it to a conference. And that is a testimonial to the work that is being done in Greensville County Public Schools. So I definitely would like you to expound on that and talk about that in just a little more detail, because we go to professional development a lot in education, and to have our own presenting as well as Ms. Moore presenting here locally, and as well as our instructional coaches, our directors, Ms. Stallings, Ms. Coker, Ms. Harrison, presenting, Dr. Farquharson, and when you talk about testing and accountability under the auspices of Ms. Whitaker, it always going to boil down to how we're going to do locally on this state assessment. So please expound on y'all's presentation that you did for the conference.
One of the things that we considered working on is that we realized that at least Wyatt Middle School, who was credited with conditions, one of the populations that we have to target are students with disabilities. But guess what? When we design instruction and implement instructional practices, high leverage practices, they not only help our students with disabilities, but it helps all of our students. And so the conference theme was leveraging high leverage practices. So we were encouraged by our TTAC support, Dr. Crosdale. Her support of us is just immeasurable. So we submitted a proposal. Ms. Person approved for us to provide the initial training during the in-service. So in early August, we provided the training for Wyatt Middle School. And then we improved from there. We submitted the proposal to the CEC, and we were just excited because they accepted our proposal and they ranked it at a very good instructional hour. We were not at the end of the day. We were right in the morning after the keynote. So the placement was just phenomenal. Yes. And in between that time, Dr. Posey James allowed us to do the presentation, components of that presentation for one of her faculty instructional meetings. And at that meeting, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she said, this is one of the best trainings, one of the best PDs she had ever witnessed. And she and I, talked together, about 20 years ago, almost 19. And so I was just really excited about how receptive the faculty members were, and understanding that we got to do things a little bit differently because we want to reach all students. And so Dr. Stiff did such a fantastic job. The assistant with VDOE, with Zania Burnett and her assistant, they were talking about our workshop, and they want us to do it for some principals in the spring. So just excited about being able to offer that professional development on a larger scale, because we've got something special here in Greensville County. And what we are doing, we are taking that on the road to encourage other people, because this is about making sure all students achieve. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We will be offering this professional development components of it again on January the 3rd, and we would love for you to come if you can.
And the last thing that I'm gonna add with that is the high leverage practices. Even though research say that for special education teachers, to make sure you use all 22 of them, it can be for all teachers, not just limit to special education teachers, all teachers, because all classroom is an inclusion classroom. The discourse rich thinking classroom, and I'm just guessing that some of you in here are probably going, well, what is the discourse rich thinking classroom? Basically, It's an effective classroom culture in which students have opportunities to listen to one another, ask questions, and to share their thinking. It's all about student engagement, student talk. If the students are talking, we know the students are learning. That's it, this time, again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Sif, for bringing us that wonderful presentation and to Dr. Scott and Ms. Williams as well. We appreciate the work that y'all are doing in the division as we look forward to moving all forward in Tier 1 instruction. Thank you so much. And on that note, here at the high school, while we're under instructional, Dr. Posey James, I can't see you, but I know you're back there. Yeah, so the high school has begun testing, and just want you to give the board an update on how testing is going here at Greensville County High School. Because this is the first time we've tested before going home for the holidays completely.
Good evening.
Testing is going well. We have completed our reading ELC testing. Tomorrow we will do our math SOL testing, and then on Wednesday we will do our science SOL testing, and Thursday we will do our history SOL testing. Stores, I'm looking.
Right.
Get us excited now. All right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving forward and under the instructional update, in conjunction with the new student performance model and concert, we're talking with Ms. Whitaker, we're going to bring the board a presentation in January on the new performance model as we look to see, as we place our scores that we had from this last fiscal year into the new model to see where we would have landed. And we're going to do that in first the work session and then do it at the board meeting. So thank you all.
All right, next up is item D, our board member committee reports. I know that we just got back from the state convention, so if any board member would like to share any thoughts or comments on that, we can. They're an actionable group, y'all. You should see us behind closed doors. No. But to that point, we do have another work session meeting actually tomorrow morning, where we'll be going over all the details that we learned from that conference, as well as going over some stuff for policy and our finance and budget committees. Next up is section 6, our action items. Policy, or A is policy revisions and review, the cell phone policy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jesse. Subject is JFCR update cell phones. As you know, Greensville County Public Schools, we've had a cell phone policy in place. Under Governor Youngkin, we were on Executive Order 13 was issued establishing a cell phone free education in public schools to promote the health and safety of Virginia's K-12 students. And under this guidance, it requires every school division to review and revise policies, procedures that adhere to the order by January the 21st, 2025. I want to commend all schools for placing this at the top of their charts, this Executive Order 33. Here at Greensville County High School, specifically, I wanted to cite how the administration and staff have been working with students, letting them know that the policy change was coming, and we are slated to have more conversations in the form of community forums, as well as student engagement here at Greensville County High School. With another session being held this Thursday at 6 p.m. Dr. Post James here at Greensville County in the cafeteria, because when we come back, this executive order, when we talk about giving students warnings, hey, the policy's changing, we got to have cell phone free instruction, bell to bell. That's what I want to commend the staff and students here for. And under this consideration, Greensville County, we took in consideration having several conversations. And as a result of our conversation, we are recommending approval of the updated cell phone policy. One of the things we want to highlight, we're taking out of the policy words like confiscated. We know cell phones are people's personal property. And when you look at taking cell phones, we don't want it to be a situation where any staff member or any student feels that their property is being taken and confiscated? Or do we want to be embellished with the component of paying for cell phones that may come back and they say that was damaged? So in our policy, for the board's review and in our conversations, we explicitly stated secondary 9 through 12, middle school, which are using yonder pack pouches, and also at the elementary school where cell phones are prohibited. And when you look at the cell phone disciplinary action, I want to thank the administrative teams for coming up with the following. And at this time, we would ask the board, are there any questions about our cell phone revision policy? But we are recommending approval of the updated cell phone policy this evening. I turn it over to you, Mr. Jesse, for any questions, and to the board.
Does the board have any questions or comments? All right, seeking a motion.
I move that we accept the policy revision for the cell phone policy. Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, make it known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next up is section 7, public comments. Clerk, do we have anybody sign up?
No comment.
Okay, is there anybody from the floor that would like to speak? All right, we'll move right along to section 8, announcements. Yep, the only two that I will share with the group is once we finish here early tonight, if you have a few more minutes, be sure to walk on over to the gymnasium. We're currently hosting a basketball game. The JV boys should have just finished up, so now we're on to our girls varsity, followed by the boys varsity. So it'd be great to see some people walk over there and show our support for the Eagles. And then the second one, we'd be silly not to tell you Merry Christmas. And hope everybody has a wonderful, happy holiday with your family and friends. Try not to eat as much as you did at Thanksgiving because that turnaround time is a little shorter this year. Any other announcements?
Yes, Ms. Jesse, just,
Do you want to elaborate on that we're moving?
Yes, sir, we
Okay.
definitely can. So as Dr. Edwards has mentioned in November's meeting, and then again tonight, the central office staff and central services building will be relocating. And we're hoping to do that sooner than later. So we'll be giving you month-to-month updates on that. We're looking forward to taking a tour, hopefully before Christmas, if not right after, once they finish cleaning out that carpet. But we are going to be moving over to the county buildings, which was the Southside Workforce Center, which is located right beside the Golden Leaf Commons, which is back behind their county building. So very excited, long time coming. So, be sure to stop by there and smile when you get there, please.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, next is seeking a motion to go back into closed session for personnel, 2.2-3711A1.
So, second.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? All those in favor, make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and that motion carries. Hope everybody has a great evening. All right, we're coming back out of a second closed session on our Monday, December 9th, 2024 Greensville County School Board meeting. Clerk, can you certify?
Board Chair Ruffin St,
Yes?
Vice Chair Janet Roberts,
Yes?
Mr. Pearson,
Yes.
Ms. Reed Moore.
Yes.
Thank you. Seeking a motion from the action resulting from our closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, moving to seek a recommendation from the agenda that was presented in closed session with the amendments.
So move.
Second?
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor make it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and that motion carries. Last but not least, we're seeking a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor make it known by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. Have a good night.
Thank you all.